The Giant with No Heart. Long ago, in the lands of the north, a king had 7 sons. He always had to have one of them by his side. The youngest son stayed with him the most, as the older brothers were very, very busy. One day the 6 oldest brothers decided to go on a very long journey. The youngest wanted to go too. The king would not allow it. The brothers rode off on the king's finest horses, wearing the finest clothes the king could provide. After many days' riding, they came to a most splendid land of castles and gardens. Out of one of the castles rode 6 princesses. They rode fast like someone was chasing them. The 6 princes rode after them to see if they could help. Soon they came to a place where they found many stone statues of people riding horses. They saw an ugly stone castle. In that castle lived a huge giant. His magic was very powerful. When he saw the riders, all it took was one wave of his hand and a shout, and the prince and princesses were all turned to stone. The king and the youngest son waited a long time for the 6 brothers to return. They began to worry. He sent the youngest son out to find his brothers. The youngster got only an old gray horse, since his brothers had taken all the nice horses, and his clothes weren't as nice as his brothers', but off he went. He carried a bag of food for the road, and that was a good thing. He hadn't gone far when he met a raven. The poor bird had not eaten in a long time. The raven looked at the boy and cawed, "Share your food with me, and I will help you some day when you are in need." The boy gave the raven some food, and its strength was restored. The boy rode off, but from that moment on, the raven could be seen flying nearby. After riding quite a while, the boy came across a salmon. The poor fish had jumped so far that it was flopping on the ground out of the water and soon to die. The salmon saw the boy and gurgled these words, "Put me back in the water. I will help you some day if you are in need." The boy picked up the slippery fish and put it back in the water. As he rode along the river, the fish swam in the same direction and stayed close by. After a time, the boy saw a wolf. It was the skinniest wolf he had ever seen. The wolf looked at the boy, and then he looked at the horse. He howled to the boy, "Give me your horse, for I have not eaten in many, many months. If you do, I will help you some day when you are in need." The boy replied, "Well, what will I ride if you eat my horse?" The wolf grinned and told him, "You can ride me." So the boy gave the wolf his tired old horse. It made him sad to lose his trusty ride. Once the wolf had eaten, he returned to his robust self. The boy told him of his search for his 6 brothers. The wolf told him he knew of what happened to his brothers. The boy hopped on the wolf's back, and they rode like the wind. After a time, the wolf stopped and told the boy, "Soon we will pass the home of a giant. It is this giant that has turned many into stone. I will show you your brothers and their friends." Soon they rode past the statues of the 12 riders. The boy asked the wolf, "Will this giant turn me to stone?" The wolf replied, "Not if you do as I say." The wolf showed him the giant's house. Fortunately, the giant was not at home, but there was a princess there looking out the castle window. The wolf told him, "You must listen to this princess and do all that she tells you to do. You may be able to break the spell of the giant and save your brothers." So the boy approached the giant's house. The princess opened the door and warned him, "The giant will be home soon. You are in great danger." The boy told her he had come to kill the giant. She told him that's impossible. The giant has no heart, and his magic is strong. The boy told her about his brothers and that the giant had turned them to stone. He wanted to save them and her too. He asked her if she had a plan. She told him that she did have a plan. She had to find out where the giant kept his heart. She told him to hide under the bed and listen carefully to everything the giant said. The boy did as he was told and hid under the bed. The giant returned home only to complain about the smell of humans. The princess replied, "The smell is from a bone that a bird dropped down the chimney." She told the giant that she had burned it. After eating a roasted goat, the giant lay down to sleep. The princess told the giant that she cared about him very much and wanted to know where he kept his heart. At first the giant laughed at her, but then he told her, "It's under the doorstep." He was soon fast asleep. The boy had heard all that the giant had said. The next morning the giant was up and off to the forest. The princess and the boy took a shovel and began to dig under the doorstep. The heart was not there. They tried their best to hide their diggings. The princess threw flowers all around the doorstep. The boy hid under the bed. When the giant came home, once again he complained about the stench of humans. Again the princess replied, "It is only another bone dropped down the chimney by a bird." She told the giant she had burned it in the fire. The giant wanted to know why there were flowers all around the doorstep. She replied, "Well, because your heart is there, of course." The giant laughed. "My heart is not there." The princess then wanted to know where it was. The giant pointed to a cupboard way up high in the kitchen. After eating a roast sheep, the giant lay down and went to sleep. The boy had heard it all. The next morning the giant was off to the forest. The boy and the princess took a ladder and climbed up to the cupboard so high up in the kitchen. They searched, but there was no heart. So the princess put flowers in the cupboard and some sticking out through the door. The boy hid back under the bed. When the giant came home, once again he complained about the stench of humans. And one more time the princess explained, "It's only another bone dropped down the chimney by a bird." The giant was so hungry he ate a roast cow. Then he noticed the flowers sticking out of the cupboard. He wanted to know why flowers were up there. The princess told him, "Because your heart is there. I wanted to make it feel the beauty of the flowers." The giant laughed. "My heart is not there." The princess looked sad. The giant wanted to know why. She told him she cared for him and wanted to keep his heart happy. She wanted to know why he lied to her. The giant told her, "I will tell you where my heart is kept. There is an island, and on that island is a church. In that churchyard there is a well, and in the well there is a duck. Inside that duck is an egg, and in that egg is my heart." The giant lay down and went to sleep. The boy had heard it all. The next morning the giant was up and gone to the forest. The boy wanted the princess to go with him, but she could not, as the giant's magic kept her in the castle. He promised to return for her. Then he went out to find the wolf. His trusty friend was waiting for him. The wolf knew of an island, and the boy jumped on his back, and off they went. After a time they came to the lake. They could see the island and the church. The boy told the wolf, "I can't swim." With the boy on his back, the wolf swam across the lake. When they got to the church gate, it was locked. They looked all over for a hidden key, and then they looked at the church. There was the key hanging up at the top of the church steeple. The wolf told the boy, "It's time to call the raven." Soon the raven was there, and it took little time before the key was in the hand of the boy. Once inside the churchyard, they found the well. The boy could see the duck swimming in the well. He could reach it. He grabbed the duck, but all of this made the duck lay an egg. It fell into the water and sank. The wolf told the boy, "You had better call the salmon." Soon the salmon was swimming in the well and brought the egg to the boy. The wolf told him to squeeze the egg gently. When he squeezed the egg, they heard the giant scream. The giant came running with thunderous steps. The boy squeezed the egg again. The giant screamed and began to beg him, "Please stop, please stop." The boy demanded that the giant undo his magic on all the riders that he had turned to stone. With one wave of his hand and a shout, all the riders, ever turned to stone, were alive and well again. Then the boy demanded that the giant free the princess. Another wave of his hand and a shout, and the princess was free. The giant now wanted to attack the boy. He squeezed the egg even harder, and the giant burst. The wolf carried the boy back to the giant's castle. There he found his brothers and many others. They celebrated with a big feast, and each of them took whatever they wanted of the giant's treasures. They all returned to their homes. The 7 brothers all rode back to their father's castle. He was delighted to have them all home again. But they did not stay home for long. But that is another story.